Alert, alert! Military jet crashes into San Diego Bay, California. Two people on board safely ejected, but the jet here crashed literally like a nosedive right into the bay, like a missile. I'm going to share with you footage, a brief press conference, and a news report about what happened here in San Diego. Check it out.
Oh shit, it didn't send.
A Navy jet plunges out of the sky and crashes into the San Diego Bay like a rocket, causing an explosion of water. And this video shows the moment the jet dove into the water within striking distance of hotels, restaurants, and people along Shelter Island. The two crew members managed to eject and were rescued. Two of our ABC 10 News team members were down there on another story and saw the whole thing unfold right before their eyes. We're going to talk to them in just a minute, but first, my co-anchor Wally Aliou is joining us live now with information on the people who were there to help rescue those pilots. Wally.
And Kimberly, we are in that striking distance, as you mentioned, along some of the restaurants here, as we were going on about 7 hours since that crash happened in the bay right behind me. I've been speaking with some of the people who investigate crashes like these. They tell me this was a two-seater airplane, usually flown with a pilot in front and an electronic warfare officer in the back. We know the pilots were rescued out of the water by a nearby fishing boat. The two were then picked up by a Customs and Border Protection boat that brought them to dry land. That is according to the U.S. Coast Guard. They were taken to UCSD Medical Center. Right now, I want to get out to ABC 10 News reporter Perla Shaheen, who happened to be right there, Perla, right when the crash happened. Tell us what you heard and saw.
It was hard to process what we were seeing. I mean, we weren't sure what that was. My photographer, Isaac Cadrill, and I were just pulling on to Shelter Harbor Drive for a different story. And we were sitting just a few hundred yards away from the harbor when we saw that U.S. Navy fighter jet slam into these waters. Now, that made a huge booming noise, and we saw a wall of water erupt in response. This video shows a U.S. Navy fighter jet dropping from the sky. The jet nosediving into the harbor off the southern shores of Shelter Island around 10 a.m. on Wednesday.
I was terrified. That was scary. Like, my heart was racing because I thought something even worse is going to happen.
Witnesses were shaken up, including my photographer and I. We just happened to be sitting nearby reporting on a different story. We watched in shock as the plane hit the harbor. The impact made a loud booming noise and shot a wall of water into the air.
It was loud. It was like a flyby. Like, they were it sounded like they were very low because it was just so noisy.
I just saw all the water shoot up and then birds shot up too.
At that moment, it was a race to find the pilots on board.
Two pilots eject from the jet near Point Loma.
Dispatchers worked fast, tracking the path of their parachutes into the water.
Shift commanders requesting a dive team response.
The Navy later confirmed the pilots were trying to land the fighter jet when they ejected from the plane, leaving it to crash into the bay. They landed in the water, and within the next minute, a nearby fishing boat rescued them. Harbor police helped bring them to shore.
We assisted those Good Samaritans getting to our police docks right over here, brought them up to our parking lot.
An ambulance took them to a nearby hospital. Coast Guard says the pilots are in stable condition, but we do not know the extent of their injuries. Tonight, we're waiting for an update from the U.S. Navy to understand what caused this crash. So far, they've put up this orange perimeter around the area of the crash to prevent the jet fuel from spreading into the ocean, and we will continue to give you updates as we get them. For right now, that is all that we know about this situation. Live on Shelter Island, Perla Shaheen, ABC 10 News.
And that was really the extent of Harbor Police's role. Since that time, we've limited all traffic here to just emergency traffic only. So if you're a mariner in the area, please avoid the Shelter Island Basin. It's emergency traffic only. We've also closed down Kellogg Beach, so if you're a local, please avoid Kellogg Beach. The main channel of San Diego Bay remains open in and out, but you'll see a large Coast Guard and Navy presence holding the maritime perimeter of the debris field while all of the debris is recovered. So that is, in a nutshell, what happened this morning, and we're taking a few questions, but we can't really talk about the pilots, their identity, the aircraft, all of that stuff. We're going to have to refer to the Navy because this is going to be their investigation.
The Good Samaritans recovered them in a boat?
In a boat, yes.
What's the process now with clearing the debris? Maybe a crane's going to come in. Can you give us any details on that?
I don't know all the details because the Navy is primary on that. I do know it could take a while because you have to pinpoint exactly, where the accident happened, and you've got tide and wind that can push debris, anywhere. So it could be a while.
And describe to people, we were seeing the orange outline that was being used out there.
So that's a boom that is made to kind of prevent environmental spills from expanding, prevent the debris field from expanding, and kind of set the perimeter. Anytime there's an aircraft accident like this, there is a little bit of a concern about the maritime environmental impact. So the Port Environmental is aware of the impact that might have. The Coast Guard has their own emergency environmental response as well, in case any of that is needed.
What did you describe it as? A boom?
A boom? Yeah, B-O-O-M.
So underwater, what is under the water of that orange?
The boom is just on the surface. The boom is just on the surface. There's nothing. It doesn't extend underneath the water.
Can you tell us anything about the pilots as they were taken from the water here and transported, their demeanor, anything?
Cannot. Anything for the pilots, you're gonna have to refer to the Navy on that.
What's the depth of the water with the plane?
The depth of the bay varies all over, and since the point of impact hasn't really been determined yet, you can kind of see the general area where they are, but I couldn't speak to the exact depth. I don't know.
What's the concern for that?
Out on the water right now, it appears that there's, I've seen Navy boats, I've seen Coast Guard boats, and there's one Harbor Police boat helping maintain the perimeter right now.
One of the big concerns is environmental issues. I know you're on top of it now, but we have bad weather, we have currents, so wind. What more can you do to make sure that more environmental damage isn't done?
There's not a lot you can do in the moment. I mean, it's environmental cleanup because the accident has already happened. So getting those booms out there and having all of your environmental teams on standby is really the best we can do right now because the Navy investigation is primary as they kind of get their perimeter set up and on lockdown.
Is the Navy in charge of removing the fighter jet from the water?
Yes, I believe that's going to be their responsibility.
How would they do so when that happens?
I don't know their process.
Has this ever happened before?
I believe there was a helicopter crash in the bay years ago. I don't remember the exact date of that, though.
What's the intention of the maritime closure, and how long is that expected to last?
We'll lift it as soon as we can. We don't want to extend that any longer. We have left an ingress and egress route, like I said, for essential emergency traffic. So if you were, your dock home port is the Kona Kai and you've been out all day, if you're coming back tonight, we're going to let you get back to your dock. But if you're just going out for a pleasure cruise for the day, please avoid the area because it's just for emergency traffic only.
Is it just for the rest of the day that it's going to be?
I can't give an exact timeline because I don't know how long the recovery efforts will take.
So the Good Samaritans is a fishing boat and sort of boat?
I heard fishing boat, but I couldn't even verify if it was a large fishing boat, a small fishing boat. I'm not sure.
Did they physically bring them out of the water?
I was not there for that part, so I don't know, sir. Sorry.
What hospital?
I can't say the hospital. We'll have to defer to the Navy on that one.
Okay, I think that's it, folks. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
San Diego Bay. Now let me ask you something, ladies and gentlemen. What is up with all these plane crashes around the country since Trump has taken office? There's more plane crashes than I've ever seen in my life in such a short period of time. We're talking about Washington, D.C. We're talking about Nome, Alaska. We're talking about Philadelphia. We're talking about other smaller aircraft that crash into the ground, into the trees. And now we have a incident where it's military crashing into the bay, San Diego. So I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's just bad timing, bad luck, or just coincidence. But something seems fishy and funny to me about all of this. Let me know what you think. We'll cover any other plane crash that happens on JLR Investigates. Thank God the two people on board are safe. We salute all the military out there. Be safe out there. Your sacrifices gives us the freedoms that we have today to discuss these type of things. We'll talk soon. JLR investigates. Stay safe.